In this vlog, I look at folklore and mountain spirits, particularly in the UK. But I begin by reflecting on the spiritual importance of mountains, my adopted country, Indonesia. And mountain spirits in Indonesia are deeply revered as guardians, ancestral figures or deities inhabiting volcanoes and highlands. These spiritual beings are believed to maintain the balance of nature, often requiring offerings and rituals, such as in Tenggerese Hinduism or Balinese traditions, to appease them and prevent natural disasters. Prominent sites include Gunung Rinjani, Gunung Agung, Gunung Merapi, which are treated as sacred sanctuaries. Eruptions are frequently interpreted as signs of anger from the mountain spirits, demanding spiritual rectifications. Communities often hold rituals such as the Yadnya Kasada of the Tenggerese to appease these entities. Mountains are deemed sacred, often acting as centres of the world or cosmic axes, where the barrier between the human and spiritual realm is thin. In addition to deities, mountains are believed to be populated by ancestral spirits who take care of the land. Climbing these mountains is often viewed as a spiritual quest that requires modesty and respect for local taboos. It's common for travellers to be warned against behaving poorly, speaking loudly, or destroying nature on these mountains, as it's thought to provoke the spirits. Gunung Bromo in Java is sacred to the Tenggerese people, and on which I have issued a full vlog. The Tenggerese worship village founders Chilak Bakal and guardian spirits Ro Bahu Rekso. During the Yadnya Kasada festival, offerings sejanan of food and livestock are thrown into the crater for the gods. Gunung Merapi in Java, and visible from my home in Java, is known as the Mountain of Fire. It's believed to house the spiritual kingdom that mirrors Yogyakarta's Sultanate, home to Makhluk Hulus, invisible beings, and the palace of Empu Rama, the Empu Permadi, a Juru Kunchu guardian appointed by the Sultan of Yogyakarta, performs rituals and maintains harmony between the human and spirit realms. Gunung Kawi is a renowned mystical pilgrimage site, an active volcano, 2,551 metres high, famous for its ritual tourism. Pilgrims visit the often Chinese-influenced tombs of Kajengdan, Penangban and Jogo, and Radam Mas Iman Sudarjono for blessings, fortune and spiritual meditation, particularly during Javanese holy nights. It's particularly associated with the Pesugihan, a blood for wealth pact. Gunung Kemukus is a controversial Javanese spiritual pilgrimage site in Java, known for a ritual prosperity to performing sexual acts, adultery. Pilgrims to the grave of Pangeran Samodro and Nia Ontarulan, particularly on Jumat Pon. Again, I've issued a full vlog on this mountain, as indeed I have on Gunung Kawi. Gunung Tidar is a historically significant hill in Magelang, central Java, often referred to as Java's sacred anchor, or the Nail of Java. And known as a quiet forested tourist spot with pine trees, it's famous for its legend, walking trails, and its role as a spiritual anchor for the island. I have already issued a separate vlog on this hill. Gunung Agung in Bali is the most sacred peak for Balinese Hindus, considered the cosmic axis, or Gunung Meru, believed to be the home of deities like Batara Guru, a form of Shiva. A volcanic activity is often interpreted as an expression of divine wrath, requiring extensive prayers and sacrifices to appease. Gunung Rinjani in Lombok is highly revered by the local Sasak people. The crater lake is thought to be the residence of spirits who maintain the balance of nature. Climbing the mountain is seen as a pilgrimage for inner peace and soul cleansing. Mountain spirits are mythological entities found in cultures worldwide, typically viewed as guardians, deities, or personifications of nature. They embody the untamed sacred power of mountains, often requiring respect or offerings to prevent disasters. These spirits are commonly seen as arbiters of justice, rewarding good behaviour and punishing vices like greed or disrespect. In Central Europe, Krakenus or Rubensal are famous spirits of the giant mountains. Historically depicted as shape-shifting mountain monk or a wild man, he can be a benefactor to the poor, but a fierce punisher of the greedy. In Germany, Bergenmachen is little mountain men who are often associated with mining. They're said to guide miners to rich ore deposits to protect them, although they may play tricks if insulted. The mountains of the UK are steeped in folklore, ranging from ancient giants who form the peaks of modern-day spirits, said to haunt high-altitude plateaus. These legends often serve as cautionary tales for travellers facing the unpredictable conditions of the British Highlands. Mountain spirits in English folklore and landscape often embody the rugged, wild nature of elevated terrain. Whilst not as centralised as European alpine legends, English lore features guardians, giants, local spirits associated with mountainous areas like the Lake District, Pennines and Cheviots, acting as keepers of the natural world. Many mountains are seen as sacred places or the abode of supernatural beings, representing the power and mystery of the landscape. Folklore often features old men of the mountains, particularly in industrial contexts, like the Old Man of Coniston, sometimes personified as the spirit of the crags. Similar to German legends, English lore often includes small mischievous spirits or kobolds found in mining areas and steep terrain. These entities are seen as guardians of their specific domain, sometimes benevolent to travellers and sometimes protective of their territory. The Peak District is known for its gritstone gods and moorland ghouls that inhabit the Mystery Heights. The Barghest, the mountain ghost, a monstrous long-haired black dog with massive glowing eyes and sharp claws. Roaming the Yorkshire Dales, specifically Troller's Gill and the Pennines, is often seen as a portent of death. The Tizzy Wizzy is a unique whimsical creature of the Lake District Fells. It's described as having the body of a hedgehog, dragonfly wings, a bee-like antenna, and a fluffy squirrel tail. A long Meg, a legend which turned to stone along with her daughters for dancing on the Sabbath. They form the famous stone circle in Cumbria. King Eveling, or Fairy King, or Celtic gods believed to dwell along the high atmospheric Hardknot Pass in the Lake District. The Lake District is home to fairy strongholds like Castle Howe and secret portals at Elvra Hill. Owen Caesarius, a legendary 10th century knight of Cumbria, said to be a giant of a man, his burial is in the giant's grave, can still be visited in Penrith. In Welsh folklore, mountain spirits are known as Gwyllition, mystical creatures that haunt rugged mountain areas like Snowdonia and the Brecon Beacons. They're often depicted as old women or fairies who lead travellers astray at night, sometimes associated with mist and lonely roads. The Gwyllition are primarily mountain fairies, considered one of the 5 types of Welsh folk, along with Ellyllon, Coblynau, Balchlod, Gwanreth, Anwen. They're often described as having strong presence in desolate high-altitude places. The Old Woman of the Mountains in Brecon Beacon's lore, she's described as having a 4-cornered hat and an apron, specifically known for leading nighttime wanderers away from their paths. Fairy brides and lake spirits, while the Gwythion are specifically mountain dwellers. Other spirits like the Garaeth Anwyn, lake fairies, appear near mountain lakes, such as the famous legend of the fairy bride of Llyn Van Fach. Gwyn ap Nydd, and the Cwm Anwen on Cadair in Wales, the king of the Teglyth Teg fairy folk, the lord of the Celtic underworld. Gwyn ap Nydd is said to hunt for souls. He is accompanied by the Cwm Anwen, hellhounds with red ears that herd souls back to the underworld. The Brenin Lloyd, known as the Grey King, a malevolent spirit, is said to haunt the peaks of Cadair, often associated with the thick, sudden mists that can trap unwary hikers. Locals have reported mysterious lights circling the mountain, which some believe are fairies emerging from their underground kingdom. As spirits nice, Aspiridnos, in Welsh folklore, nights like Nosgal and Maeve are times when the veil between the physical world and spirit world is thinnest, often celebrated with bonfires to ward off evil spirit. Cadair Idris means chair of Idris. According to the legend, Idris was a giant warrior poet who created the mountain as a seat to gaze at the heavens. Legends at Cadair Idris warn that anyone who sleeps on its slopes will wake up as either a madman or pirate, or won't wake up at all, a common trope throughout Wales. Llyn Cow is rumoured to be bottomless and haunted by a monster, according to local tradition. Cadair Idris is described as a place of extreme grandeur and gloom. It has inspired artistic interpretations, portraying it as home to wandering spirits and atmospheric deep music created by the wind. I know Cadair Idris well and can certainly recommend a walk to the summit, or at least to Llyn Cow. And whilst it can be emotive, I cannot say that I've experienced this music. Snowdon, Arwitha, the highest mountain range located in Erie, Snowdonia National Park, is steeped in centuries of folklore, with many stories suggesting that it's a hotspot for paranormal activity and mystical creatures. The summit of Snowdon is believed to be the burial place of Rita Gower, a giant slain by King Arthur. Legend says that Rita made a cloak from the beards of kings he defeated, and after Arthur killed him, the giant was buried under the mountain's summit cairn, often referred to as Carnedd Arthur. Anvac, water monster in Lake Glasglyn, a terrifying water monster or demon that plagued the area. Folklore tells of being chained and dragged into the lake by villagers who used a young girl as bait. The broken spectre is often experienced by hikers. This is a natural phenomenon that appears paranormal. When the sun is behind a climber in high mist, it projects the shadow onto the mist, often creating a giant, magnified figure surrounded by a rainbow halo. This is sometimes called a ghost of myself experience. Broken spectres, I've already said that, beneath the peaks of Allywedd, a mountain adjacent to Snowdon, is said to be King Arthur and his knights sleeping in a hidden cave, awaiting the time when they are needed to defend Britain again. An almost identical trope to that of Wild Edric in the Snail Beach lead mines in my native Shropshire. Below Clogwyddia Arddu, a large rock known as Minddia Arddu is said to be magical. Another place where legends suggest that if two people spend a night there, one will become a poet and the other will become insane. In Scottish folklore, mountain spirits are deeply intertwined with the rugged highlands. often manifesting as nature spirits or guardians of the peaks. The big grey man, Anvir Laithmore of Ben Mahdi, is one of the most famous modern spirits in the UK. An extremely large Sasquatch-like figure covered in short hair. Walkers report a sense of irrational panic and the sound of hairy footsteps following them. Found at the summit of Ben Mahdi in the Cairngorms, Scotland. Although there have been many purported encounters with the big grey man, few eyewitnesses report having actually seen the creature. He's said to be very thin and over 10 feet tall, with dark skin and hair, long arms and broad shoulders. And most often the creature remains unseen in the fog, with encounters limited to the sound of crunching gravel as it walks behind climbers, and a general feeling of unease around the mountain. Tangible evidence of its existence is limited to a few photographs of unusual footprints, so the majority relies on the credibility of eyewitness encounters. In 1925, J. Norman Colley gave the first recorded account of the Grey Man encounter. A noted hiker, professor and member of the Royal Geographic Society, Colley recounted a terrifying experience. He'd hiked alone to the summit of Ben Mahdi years earlier in 1891. Scientific theories suggest many sightings of mountain spirits, including the big grey man, are actually broken spectres. Ben Nevis, the UK's highest mountain, is steeped in folklore and paranormal tales, most notably featuring Anvir Laithmore, the big grey man, a 10-foot-tall entity, causing intense dread in climbers. Other legends involve the Cailleach, goddess of winter, ruling the summit, intense poltergeist activity at the nearby abandoned Cleebelts Lodge, and the Wishing Stone. Anvir Laithmore, whilst often associated with neighbouring Ben Mahdi, reports of the creature which produced these feelings of deep apprehension and slurring footsteps have been reported on Ben Nevis. Climbers have reported hearing footsteps and sensing an ominous presence, especially in the mist. The Cailleach, winter goddess, Scottish tradition holds that the Cailleach resides on top of Ben Nevis. Sudden violent shifts to freezing stormy weather are often attributed to her riding out from a seat on the mountain to bring winter to the highlands, as at Cleebelt, a lodge poltergeist near Ben Nevis. This abandoned remote brothy shelter has been the site of intense documented paranormal experiences. Hikers report being trapped inside, witnessing gear flying around and hearing footsteps approaching in the night. Local legends suggest a giant once lived at the summit of Ben Nevis and would throw boulders at anyone attempting to climb. The Wishing Stone, Clach Shomerlai, a local, arguably magical site in Glen Nevis, where travellers can make wishes if they follow specific rituals. Abera, Queen of the Winter in Scottish mythology. Abera is another mother of all gods and goddesses, and is said to use Ben Nevis as her throne. She is credited with using a magic hammer to create Scotland's lochs and mountain ranges. She brings the winter, herds the deer, and uses a magical staff to freeze the ground. Often described as a hag with blue skin, one eye, and long white hair, she's credited with forming many Scottish mountains and lochs, often carrying a wicker basket creel, from which rocks dropped. She rules during the winter and drinks from the well of youth on the last night of her reign, the longest night, to become young again, eventually turning back into a hag by autumn. Her winter reign ends when she throws her staff under the holly or gorse bush and turns into a stone. Gilly is a wild but generally kind-hearted male fairy who once aided a lost child, are often seen in the Gairloch area. The Key Seath, a spectral wolf-like hound, the size of a bull, coloured dark green. It lives in the rocky clefts in the Scottish Highlands and is said to carry souls to the afterlife. Described as a young bull, usually dark green or black in colour, with shaggy fur, it's often described as having a braided or curled tail. Considered the servant of Doin Seath fairies, it serves as a harbinger of death, often tasked with taking the souls of the dead to the afterlife. It hunts silently, only barking 3 times, which can be heard far over the sea, hearing the barks with a warning to escape or die of terror. The Key Seath is often target nursing women to kidnap them to the fairy mounds to provide milk for fairy children, said to inhabit the rock crevices of the Scottish Highland moors. County Down, Northern Ireland, has a number of folklore stories related to mountains. Slieve Binian's blue light, a restless spirit of a young woman murdered and buried on the slopes, is said to appear as a ball of blue phosphorus light, sometimes shooting along Head Road near Keel. Long Shanna, haunted by the spirits of tragic lovers. Long Shanna, tragic lovers Sheila and her lover Mahon, who drowned in the deep water, and a phantom fox with glowing eyes that appears before storms. Slieve Donegaves, believed to hold the spirits of ancient warriors, with reports of whispers and icy chills. The Magic Hill, Erie Brine near Spengler Dam, is an optical illusion that some historically believe was a supernatural force or repulsed vehicles. Slieve Binian Golem, a couple in 2019, photographed a strange hunchback entity in the mist that resembled Golem. A Dundamuk Mound, Antrim, is considered one of Ireland's gateways to hell, allegedly causing people and coaches to disappear during storms. Limavady Mount in Derry, the ruins of a ram's horn, are linked to ghosts of criminals who used to lurk there.